Chief. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And I want to acknowledge the tremendous and really terrible case count today for our statewide numbers being 2,500 cases larger than the last largest day we've seen in the course of the pandemic. Of course, Chief Brown and I are here to talk about public safety, and I can't not mention the public safety health threat that is this spike in the COVID-19 variants out there in the state of Utah and in Salt Lake City today. So please be safe and wear your masks, take care, take advantage of Salt Lake County's free and unscheduled booster and vaccination clinics, Saturdays and Sundays 10 to 4 at Redwood Road and at the county complex. So many other opportunities available as well. I couldn't not mention that this morning. We're glad to be with you today, and just a couple of months ago, Chief Brown and I presented to Salt Lakers and to you in the media our updated crime control plan that is multifaceted and diverse, just as our approach toward public safety and crime needs to be for this capital city, like capital cities across the nation, who have by and large been facing very similar numbers over the course of 2020 and into 21 on overall crime and violent crimes in particular. I'm happy to stand here today as we enter into this new year with very good news about the course of improvement that we are seeing, and that the strategies we laid out those months ago are working, from call time improvements to crime reduction overall and in specific nature, both in the last 28 days, year to date, and we're coming up to a 5-year also improvement. So Chief will get into some of those details more. We've also seen improvements on call response time and even on our staffing, recruitment, retention efforts. So there is good news, but it by no means is a sign of the absence of crime in Salt Lake City. Every single day, our residents and visitors and business owners can experience and do experience some degree across a spectrum of insecurity around their feelings of safety and experiences of crime in our capital city. And it is our fundamental job to keep our people safe. That is the most fundamental job of any city. We take it incredibly seriously. And I hope that as we'll of course answer questions after, but as you'll see today, that you can take heart in the great actions of Salt Lake City Police Department and in my administration taking your safety as our highest concern. We'll keep iterating on our crime control plan. We're going to keep listening to our community members and to our frontline officers who are helping us figure out the best ways to keep you safe. I want to say great thanks to the police officers of Salt Lake City Police Department who keep coming to work every day, doing the work that is incomparable to many other departments in this state and in this region. It is completely unique here in the capital city, and they do the best job of any department in the state of Utah and probably across this nation. So thank you to Salt Lake City police officers. In the past 28 days, our crime in this city is down 11.3% compared to the previous 28. In those same past 28 days, violent crime is down 18.4% compared to the previous 28 days. And overall, in 2021, crime decreased 5.4% compared to 2020, which is actually a 32-point reduction from its worst point that we hit in March of this year. It's a tremendous improvement, and again, it does not signify an absence of crime in our city. There is no finish line. There is no stopping point. There's keep going, keep iterating, keep showing up, and working as hard as we can to keep our people safe. So thank you, Chief Brown, for your leadership, and I'll turn the time over to you.
Well, good afternoon, and Mayor, thank you for being here. Thanks for standing with us and for your support, as always. Several months ago, like the Mayor talked about, we released the revised crime control plan. In doing so, we took a close look at the realities of policing. Policing has changed over the last 2 or 3 years. There are many challenges ahead for law enforcement across this country and here in Salt Lake City. But the women and men of the Salt Lake City Police Department are committed to pushing forward. They are challenging each other to be better police officers and to be better stewards of our community. I am incredibly proud of the work they're doing. Every day I hear about the impact our officers are having on crime, but more importantly, the impact and how they're building strong relationships in our community. Our final CompStat summary for 2021 is expected to be out no later than January 15th. That'll give us a full year comprehensive look at the crime and data compared to the years previous. That'll give us a roadmap, a map of where we really need to go. The report will give us important information on the direction the city is headed regarding crime. But today, I'm here to talk about where crime stands using the most recent data. For contextual purposes, a CompStat calendar runs from Monday through Sunday. It runs from the first week of each year to the last full week of that year. And sometimes people will say, well, you know, you're looking at crime in the last 7 days or the last 28 days. Of course it's down, it's seasonal. Well, when you look at years compared and stacked up against other years, every year has 4 seasons as well. So we're looking at the same data over an entire year with those ebbs and flows of seasonality. I am happy to report that from the first week of 2021 through Sunday, December 26th of 2021, overall crime in Salt Lake City is down 5.4%. In that same time, over the 5-year average, citywide crime has dropped 1.3%. Our latest CompStat report shows that 5 out of our 7 city council districts saw a drop in both violent crime and property crime during the last 7 days, and like the mayor talked about, the last 28 days as well. Violent crime often gets the most attention. That's just the way it is. We know violent crime makes up only 12% of the total crime in Salt Lake City. That's why we rely, and we have for years, upon a CompStat model. It gives us important information and the ability to identify patterns and the ability to identify those patterns to respond and to the increases in crime quickly and methodically. In the last 28 days, we continued to see our crime trends improving. While this is great on paper, I know there are a lot of people and families in our community who don't see that crime improving. Take, for example, what happened on December 26th of 2021. In the middle of an afternoon, officers responded to an apartment complex that sits 1,000 feet from an elementary school and a church. Officers got to the scene and found 6 bullet holes that had pierced through the 2 apartment units. Someone was home when those bullets ripped through the apartment, and we are incredibly lucky that those rounds didn't injure or kill somebody. This is just one example why we must keep doing everything we can to reduce crime. While on paper, violent crime is down 10%, but for the family living in that apartment, crime and the fear of future crime is likely at an all-time high. Something that concerns me is in the last 28 days, we have seen a 33% increase in the number of weapons offenses. I continue to plead with our community, especially the youth of our community. It's time to end this violence. Put down your guns. Let's start 2022 anew. Let's find better ways to resolve and handle conflict. When there's a fight or a disagreement, a dispute, let's just walk away. Reaching for a gun and pulling the trigger will have unimaginable consequences and trauma for the shooter, the victim, their family, and our entire community. I also want to talk about response times for December of 2021. Another goal of the revised crime control plan is to improve response times. I am happy to report that because of the heart and the dedication of our officers, we are seeing that improvement happening. In December, the average response time for a priority 1 call was 10 minutes and 46 seconds. That's a 2-minute and 12-second improvement from November of 2021. And as you remember, and I think we've talked about, It's an improvement of 6 minutes and 48 seconds from our peak in August of 2021. There are a lot of factors that go into response times, and one of our strategies of improving response times include having more officers available to take telephonic calls for service. These are the calls for service that can be handled over a phone, quite simply. From October 20th of 2021 to January 3rd of 2022, our telephonic officers have handled and fielded almost 2,100 calls for service. About 30% of those calls for service we took during that time resulted in a report being written. Without this program in place, patrol officers on the streets would have they've had to take those calls. And then they would have had to write those 577 reports, potentially delaying their response to other calls. That's making a huge impact for us. We are continuing to recruit for our police civilian response team that will be dedicated for taking calls for service. It's important that we do everything we can to free up our officers so they are available to respond to those high priority calls for service and in-progress emergencies. As a department, we are committed to our revised crime control plan. It'll guide us in the short term as we work to reduce crime, to reduce and improve our response times, to become fully staffed, and to continue to build community relations. I am proud of the work our officers and our professional staff do each day. They are dedicated servants, they are guardians of our community, and they are excellent police officers. The mayor and I will now take a few questions.
Also meant to mention, we're sorry that our monitor screen is not working today, or we would have thrown the CompStat report up there. Brent Weisberg will be sharing all of that data through the press release that's going out, and of course, those numbers are always available on the slcpd.com website. Any questions for us today?
So Chief, how many officers are you down right now?
We're down 58, but here's the good news. We're starting a class on Monday of 25. There's 28 in the class, but 3 are counted. So those 25 will bring our number down to 33.
And you said 5 to 7 districts saw a drop in crime.
Yeah.
2 others saw an increase. Can you say what crimes are increasing right now? What's anything trending?
I don't have it right in front of me. I do know that some of those weapon offenses that I spoke to are trending up, which is
weapons offenses, just people caught with guns who shouldn't have them, or what kind of
shouldn't have them, assaults with guns, drive-by shootings with guns, anything that has, it's not just guns, any type of weapon offense.